having good opportunities to train together. It's given them that extra bit of tussle during the season, and that one goes a little bit astray. Great recollection. Brecht Heymans with the disc opens up a big old backhand. Is that going to come in bounds? There's possibility. Oh, the footwork, tippy-toeing into the end zone. Well, we are getting some high-octane start to this match, Rachel. The players on the field really are going.
Yeah, quite sort of like furious. Both teams seem to have come out really wanting to start high energy, and it sort of means it's maybe a little bit too high octane at moments. We saw a couple quite aggressive shots. A bit of a shame after both teams had worked to get a turn, and then perhaps pushing it that little bit too hard. But that final pass right down the line, as we see there, just getting towed in, so beautiful. That really just sat round and stayed just close enough for it to be a viable play in the end zone, and that's yeah, a great way to close out what was quite a sort of scrappy yet intense point to start. Both teams definitely firing on all cylinders, wanting to get an early advantage.
To be a man of mystery on his player survey. Brecht Heymans trying to be a man of mystery on his player survey, but I've seen him play Ultimate 1 or 2 times before. I think that was a very well executed high risk, high reward shot. Didn't really look like it had too much guaranteed chance of coming back in bounds. But both teams, of course, this is to stay in the pointy end of the championship. The crossover attempt, JetSet winning themselves one. They are 1 of each for 2. So this is their 3rd game of Friday to determine who will go up. And as we already said, Uprising trying to make their way up and rise through the brackets here, having had a pool of doom any which way to follow. Of course, a fine reward for getting your own local championship. Swinging across the back. Just slinking them together against the zone. There's a big old poach off on this near side lateral motion. There they don't take it with a nice flat forehand. Schmura. Oh, but that's taken away. A great pick off. And off they go downfield. Evert Viska. A little bit of a contact there. Accepted foul and a quick apology. But it does interrupt the flow. So, Evert Viska back underway. Really makes eyes with the reset, but it's fabulous footwork. It's his Gestens. 1 or 2 Gestens brothers on this side. Oh, just about escaping with that one is Viska. And that interruption from the contact does dampen the flow somewhat. Gomez, the lefty around. Kestens puts one up on a piece of string and hopes good connection. You can see the wildlife as the heat of the day has subsided coming through. Not saying anything too wild though. Gomez again. There's always a get out of jail free for a couple of points of a game being a left-handed thrower. Though I'm sure Uprising will notice that Gomez is getting some relatively easy breaks and will adjust their forces accordingly. So, nice throw and go movement from Derrick. Now popping back, but that one is a little bit askew and under the hot defense. There's an ability to make the redemption by changing the path. So a missed opportunity for the break. A big one goes up. There's plenty of charge underneath it. The defenders don't have to worry about field positioning. They can just make the play, and they do. A sandwich.
Yeah, read that play well. Hustled to get down there. 2 dark shirts against 1 light shirt. Managed to secure that one and back with the whole field to travel.
Nice swing across all the way. Oh, but that one's going to escape, and an enviably short field. You think there'd be a little bit more pace on it, going for one-on-one separation. But But the store count starting to rise. We can see the attack there. The intensity from both sides, well matched. Can they swing all the way around? No, pinned. A little bit low, but all well enough for Bison. Pops. Oh, a high snatch, just shy. And there we go, back corner of the end zone. Well, it looked like a number 11 on that shirt, but at this distance under this light, I am not sure. But either way, it is at last a solid hold in the end, but that was another turnover heavy point. Early stages, these two teams finding the feel of each other.
Yeah, and so far looking quite sort of evenly matched. Seems like they're sort of both happy to sort of move it around the back, wait until they find the good options, but both sides making some errors, giving some turnovers against some in the face of some strong defensive pressure. Both, like, as we mentioned, trying to start intensely, but it does mean that sometimes perhaps like rushing some of those options or trying to push it that little bit too hard when they just needed to perhaps take that extra breath. But there we see all of that effort was for a hold. So Uprising get the second point on the board, but that is just a hold serve. It's now 2-1. But we're going to need to see one of these sides getting converting some of these blocks that they're generating if we want to.
To be fair, Doug, we really don't have to. At the end of the day, I'm sure if this one just traded out through the entirety of the match, Uprising are going to be delighted. They start with the natural advantage against their opponents. Hence the 2-1 score lead. But you're right, it would be nice to see a couple of breaks of score, because this is going to be a nail-biter all the way through. Trying to stay alive and within the championship bracket. Bjarne squeezes one out high in the stall. Now trapped on that front cone. Some unders given. Hot pressure again and a lot of contact, but they play through it. Foul elsewhere though, off the disc. Might send that one back. Elias Ravier, who of course got that first goal of the game for JetSet with a disc in hand. He's currently living in Brussels, but he's a Leuven man by birth. 10 years, of course. Massive shout out to all of the Belgian Ultimate teams and programs bringing through the youth. Of course, they got themselves at the top of the podium at the European Championships. And we will talk about the number 17 from Uprising a little bit later. Feisty one across to Bjarne, who opens up a lashing backhand. There is nobody really, truly deep. But did that work out? Yes, it did.
When that went up, I looked downfield and I was like, what an error. What a poor judgment throw. Who's he throwing to? There's no one down there, you know, the defense has it well covered. And then just absolutely proven to be totally incorrect. I just don't know how that happens. Obviously, it's a fast receiver. We see that one.
That's insane.
Oh, we can see that back in here, or?
Well, we're watching it back with you on YouTube as well. We'll get the true replay as you see it. You can see how much loft is put up on this, and that's just not fair. Elias Ravier, you're just not fair. That's Standard Murray level.
Yeah, but I mean, I wonder if maybe the Uprising player, I mean, it looked like it might have been a number 23 shirt, which I now see is not on the roster, therefore I have to be wrong. But the defensive player was really well positioned, and I wonder if maybe just underestimated the closing speed, because they were positioned, they had the advantage. In theory, that throw shouldn't have gone up, but able to cover those last yards and give it to the offense.
So sort of more of a, you think they were playing shepherding defense rather than actual defense. Well, yeah. Folks, at a European Championship level, when you're playing your crossover to stay in the championship bracket, you got to play real defense the whole game long, and that is what we are getting by and large in this game. So maybe a little bit of a gimme for JetSet, but either way, can they get close to a block in this point? Badura puts it forward. Nice inside slinky break. Well, Uprising assured us that all of their roster numbers were completely correct. I think that's a completely incorrect statement. So we'll talk more about the plays than the players. Nice shot again, the pace on all of these throws. Bizon, we know that's it for sure, the number 11. A little casual dad backhand toss from Badura. Now squeezing it down that far sideline. Oh, that's a blade and a half. A little bit of a reach back to make the grab, but well executed, and he had solid separation towards that cone.
Yeah, still a bit spicy though. It's definitely kind of already quite deep in the end zone. The back line of the pitch fast approaching, so the window was pretty narrow, but really well executed. That was quite a direct throw and well received, with, as you say, little to no defensive pressure on.
Yeah, trying to get the breathe down the back of the neck. Yes, I'm here. I'm chasing you up this line, I swear. But it has indeed been a journey for these two teams. On paper, there should be JetSets. They've already got one win in the bank, but of course, Uprising, that pool of doom, a Clapham team looking for a bit of redemption. I did hear, Rachel, that they did bring their O-line today. They only got broken once by Bad Skid. Bad Skid, of course, in the German derby to stay in the championship bracket. They're playing against Muck elsewhere. And some of our other ones, Flying Angels Burn against Smashty, 3SB forward. Panthers Wrocław against KFK. Chevy and Panthers Burn on the other live stream. Bristol and Chuck. And Outsitters and Gutso to make up all of our crossovers in this brand new format for the Open Division this year. And we like it. So a big boost out of Chang. There's big legs underneath it. Can he make the play? The catch-up speed is indeed a thing of beauty. Alexander Spalholz, it looks like, the number 90, doing damage. An Austrian pickup for this Belgian side.
It looked to be a pretty decisive set play from JetSet. They had two players hugging either sideline, streaking deep very, very quickly off of the first pass. You see that come in, that gets tossed and then immediately launched. And as you see on this home sideline, we can see the number 21 shirt also making a very, very, very hard deep cut.
Arthur Moyerson.
Arthur Moyerson also part of that, perhaps making sure that the deep defense is split and they have two really solid options, one of whom is surely going to be available and finds his teammate on the far side.
Well, a big boom once more. Coming out the blocks for JetSet, this time with considerable separation downfield, otherwise, unlike the last one where we were like, hold on, what?
Yeah. I do think, just to sort of go back to your earlier point, so JetSet are coming into this game with a win, whereas Uprising are looking to get their first win. But I think it's worth noting that Uprising have played Clapham and Bad Skid. Bad Skid, the game was 15-11. So although Bad Skid did win by a good margin, they were very much in there.
Well, they throw into the waiting poach, though, Uprising, because it will take it out of you having to play against some of Europe's long-standing best. And that's a huge ripper out of the air. Well, the training has paid off. That looks to be Wardfop.
Huge takedown. That had to get absolutely into the sky to secure the score there. And that's JetSet securing in quite quick and decisive fashion the first break of the game. That deep shot tidily intercepted. And we see a nice arcing forehand that goes up under pressure. Yeah, well received.
Well, a break of score here in the early stages. JetSet punching their advantage in the scorecard, 4-3. They do need the one break of score at the very least to take this one away, with Uprising having started the game and held on offense. So now they come again. The lighting conditions here cannot be underestimated. It is a bizarre feeling. Local time just 10:07 p.m. So 18:51 for you clock nerds, but that is a beautiful pass, but it's a drop, and the non-intentional back by any means, but what a recovery, and the goal as well. I think that if that hadn't been a drop, Rachel, it would have required a secondary pass where maybe JetSet could have put some pressure on, but you've got to be lucky to be, well, good to be lucky. That was definitely very lucky.
Yeah, there's no two ways about it. That was a phenomenal play. You might say catch it on the first attempt, sure. Maybe that might be the sort of the safer way to do it. But if you're not going to catch it, then put your best effort in to still get there, and to be able to kind of make that adaptation, keep the eyes right on the disc, find that kind of muscle memory, I don't know, just must be pure instinct to be able to react that fast, but that is just sensational.
I think you also have to credit the thrower as well. That is why you put a lot of pace and a lot of spin on your discs, because only the correct throw is going to come out with that much loft on it if you mishandle it in the end zone. Something a bit softer with a little bit less pace. I mean, maybe it would have been more catchable on the first asking, but equally, without that spin, that sort of torque generated on the disc, there's no way it's sitting up and hanging for anywhere near that long and allowing the player to make the bid.
Yeah, we do recommend just catching those, though. It did seem like it was catchable, and in fact, basically in his hands. But well, if you've got to do it, that's a stylish way to get it done. It
was cool. It looked cool, but fundamentally also good rules knowledge and use. You're not allowed to intentionally mack it, so you always got to try. But that was very nearly on the line there for Martin Robians. But a beautiful inside shot to move the disc laterally. Hammer for the reach, but no catch. Alexander Spalholtz just coming up with a fistful of air. So this to turn the tide back in favour of Uprising. Big shot goes up. There was an initial explosion out of the box, but that's going to be taken away by the defender, surely. Yes, indeed, the block for Moyerson. I think there was a little bit of give up there. Norbert Staniszewski had indeed made a deep cut, but I think he started to take his foot off the pedal.
Yeah, didn't seem to be vying for position, so just let JetSet have the inside line.
Well, giving and going up the far sideline, exploiting the rules change for the travels. Very well there. You love to see it. That flow, give and go. Some might call it dribbling, depending on your ultimate history feelings on a certain Frank Huguenard. But that's a big ripper again. Vianney putting to the back corner and just about makes it with room. Artem Moyerson for the goal. Well, Vianney did not get that many reps in the final game that at the spring invite that saw JetSet get here, but he's clearly been putting himself back in playing shape, full form and full field hucks for the number 40.
JetSet really demonstrating a very varied approach to this game. We saw, I mean, even just within that point, as you say, the sort of the dribbling, the small ball, the fast movement, as well as always looking to see if there's a deep strike, and when it goes, executing those long passes really well positioning on defense. A lot of kind of, yeah, really varied play that's keeping Uprising, I think, a little bit more on the back foot. At the moment, this seems to be something that JetSet are, they just seem to have that little bit more command of what's going on in the field.
Well, I think probably JetSet would have liked to have maybe a couple fewer turns overall in this game, but they retain their advantage there. Artem Moyerson getting up big and getting those bookends, the 22-year-old. But Uprising now seeing if they can ascend too. But it's all going to start with a hold. They have separation downfield, but the pack is now emerging underneath it. Great box out. What a defensive effort that was. Height mismatch, be dismayed. That's Viska getting up big. So walking over the disc. Looks to be Keston's picking up. Big around break. And another deep shot coming out of JetSet. They are going absolute baller style. And what a ripper! Oh my goodness gracious. Well, JetSet are just peeling off the roof tiles at this point and smashing them on the floor. Well, we've seen Belgian ultimate players be amazing in the air all season long, Rachel, and I think in this game, JetSet, well, at least for this current section of play, are picking everyone out that playbook.
That was disgusting. How did you get that? That was ridiculous.
I tell you what, you might not have been able to hear Rachel's response there because she had thrown away her microphone in sheer disgust at how filthy that ripper was.
That was outrageous. And actually just, I mean, we saw a bit of a skyball down at this end, and I was thinking in that moment, and I didn't sort of say it as the play continued, but those always favour the defence, right? Like, you can get bodies underneath it, you can disrupt them enough, and you can really just disrupt it. You don't have the pressure of having to catch it. But just, again, immediately proven wrong. How is it that there's so many shirts there? And even on his way down, it's already kind of made the jump, and it's as he's coming down from the height of from the apex of his jump, that he actually manages to secure that one between the opponent's shirts.
Well, yes, it looks, it's only 183 centimetres tall. That is some real, I mean, it's a solar panel installer by trade, so maybe that's the advantage in roofing. Gets up on the ladder. He's clearly got a secret ladder hidden in his shorts somewhere, because the hang time on that was audacious. But something very strange has happened. It's a pull out of bounds. Haven't seen any of those so far in this game, and a pull play side stack coming out of Uprising. Kwiatkowski with a lovely inside backhand, sending it laterally across. And there we go, off to the races they go. There are two JetSet players underneath it. This time it's Uprising though, who go up big. Kwiatkowski, well, anything you can do, we can also do apparently.
I mean, that is just the absolute picture replay of what just happened. And once again, I was a complete non-believer, and then it happened anyway. I don't know why that went up. There were so many more, there were two black shirts in that area. It didn't seem like it was well positioned, and yet here we are again.
I mean, if you're a coach on the sidelines and you've got a game plan that's not just going absolute balls to the wall and throwing deep shots no matter who you are spiking. That clipboard you're holding is broken and shattered into pieces right now, but we don't really care. The kick spike as well to celebrate Kwiatkowski. That is absolutely bonkers.
Well, I mean, I'm struggling to keep my microphone near my mouth because of all my reactions to what's going on the field. This is, yeah, I mean, these guys are pulling out all the stops, and yeah, the movement, the set players we saw there was really interesting. It was really designed to create a lot of space, but it seemed like they sort of bailed out of that pretty quickly and just absolutely put a ripper deep and hoped for the best, and you know, they were all rewarded, so fair play to them.
Pretty much. I mean, third game of the day, I think we're going to already see a lot of maybe some cutting of lines. This is a really meaningful game, getting yourself into the championship bracket, your pre-quarter final type action. I think we're pre-quarter stages. Of course, this open division with slightly different ones. So this is indeed, to not get into your top 8, it is your 1 to 16 brackets, and getting yourself into the knockout, the business end of the tournament. Chang, pass up or near sideline. Screw my head back on. Haynes, low throw, lateral across. Chang has a little think about it, sweeps it across instead. The bins. Pops through. Oh, and it's just a front comb battle, while JetSet this time, no big boosts required, just patient but really expansive spacing. Love that, the discipline, keeping their space laterally across, allowing the disc to do the hard work, and just keeping any poachers out of the way.
Yeah, as you said, it's the third game. It's been a long day for these teams. We're in sort of the exhaustion zone maybe, and so just having the sort of discipline and the wherewithal to make sure that they're keeping their spacing right, and that just being a play that you could really see evolving, and you could see those cuts as they sort of got set up and then executed, and that just meant that they could just play more simply and without risk, which really, like at this stage when you've been working so hard, is really, it's amazing we still have the big players, and they've shown that they've still got the legs for it. They're still going to be absolutely tearing up this field. But yeah, great to see that they can still just also kind of keep their cool, keep their heads, and execute the simple stuff well, and not kind of give in to sometimes a bit of exhaustion brain.
Well, it is a deeper roster for Uprising. They have a couple of extra bodies should they require rotation through those lines. That's big pressure on the underneath. Derrick trying to snatch the disc away. You can see how hard both sides are being pushed. Vivalski, a little bit of a corkscrew around, but kept in stride. All that momentum is then lashed towards the end zone. Oh, and it's the block coming out this time. No crazy skying, just a crazy block. I think that's Jesse Lux again.
Yeah, and he seems to be very sort of devastated to not have received that one, but that was such an incredible defensive play. Head in hands as if he's just dropped a clap catch, but really that would have been such a phenomenal take.
Absolutely, I think you have to really give it to Lux there. He had the perfect read of that, the ideal position underneath, almost like you've got a UFO beaming a ray of light down directly onto the man's head. But they've had opportunities before and turned over the short field. Might just have to be a chuck it and hope someone is double covered, so someone else is completely poached, and they figure it out. Thinks about the ripper. No mark, can do whatever you like. There is plenty of gimme action, but a little bit of slower movement from Gassenmeyer. Comes under and receives the easy. Travel call elsewhere on the pitch, so that's going to have to pop back.
I'm seeing a lot of deep cuts and some with separation, but JetSet just playing that a little bit more conservatively, hitting the resets, not trying to push it too hard. 7-5 now, they're looking to put this one in, take half on a break. Violation called.
And an inaccurate signalling is a violation. When you call a violation, you must clench your fists. This to differentiate it from any kind of scoring signal on your WFDF hands signal set. There's also a funny joke in there somewhere, but we'll leave that one off stream. JetSet trying to reach deep into the pockets to break the force. That one a little bit low, sliding and immediately getting up. You can tell the defenders drilled that one before. Looks seeking options. There are big old poach offs, but that is a great catch from Gomez, just adjusting the shoulder in the last moment. That one towards the front cone, and it's a break for half. 8-5 for JetSet. Whoa. I might need to sit down in between this one.
Yeah, I feel like they were sort of lulling Uprising into a false sense of, oh, we're going to be sensible, we're going to work it through the systems, and then ultimately finding that sort of slicing crossfield shot into the far side of the end zone. Maybe just a little bit more surprising for them after being so careful and so cautious in that point up till then.
I think the system, Rachel, might just be just really attack the frisbee and really take on some shots. Well, that will close us up for the first half. We get a couple of highlights of that last point, but we will take a very brief break here in the booth, because that will be half. Well, we're going to watch these replays, but we're going to take a break here in the booth. We'll be back in a sec.
Wait. Isn't this for the other apparel? We've got like new stuff, right? Bring it. No, bring it in. Feast your eyes on the new fan version of our iconic ulti.TV sweatshirts. Great fan gear available for you. Check out our new range of colors and insist on staying warm and looking fresh. Shipping is available after EUCF. Get your fan gear and be one of us.
Search for Hive Ultimate on YouTube to learn about our cutting-edge strategies and to see analysis of world-class teams. To find out what Hive can do for your team, head over to our Patreon page where you can gain access to our exclusive drills and session plans and to join our worldwide community of coaches. Get ahead of the curve with Hive Ultimate.
Always on the move? You can keep up to date with ulti.TV on all of our social media channels. Like, follow, subscribe, share us with a friend, or send us a message just to say hey. Thank you for supporting us in our mission to grow Ultimate everywhere.
As we enjoy the local cuisine, well, it's not really the local cuisine, it's the wonderful tournament organisers have put on what we were just saying is a very athletic, appropriate dinner here at the pitches in the Wrocław, Poland, where we are delighted to be, of course, at the European Ultimate Championship Finals, the pinnacle, the peak, the very, very tippy top of the European club season. And here we are, indeed, waving to you, our wonderful viewers. Thank you so much to all of you that are already patient. We're getting some shade thrown at us from the Galaxy point on the next field. Folks, we can only stream so many games. Do not throw shade in the comments, throw money. Literally throw money at us, become patrons, and then we can bring more more crews, more equipment, more coverage. But of course we are delighted to have all of the scorekeepers, the volunteers, the real heroes of this tournament, aside from the athletes on the pitches, scorekeeping live. But we will bring you results from across the division as this game continues, because it may be 8-5, but the way this game is being played, it could turn at any moment. But of course, any Belgian Ultimate fans hope that doesn't happen. And Austrians as well, because of course, that's one of them. Spalholz pops forward into Moyes. Chang. Again, opening things up with that big backhand lefty. Double cutting in the hand of space leaves nothing but space upfield. A pick call will bring that back. As Vianney turns underneath like he's making gelato. And the body language from the Uprising sideline, decidedly stoic.
I think it's quiet reverence of the booth.
Possibly. Well, that would be the first time today.
They're being very respectful of our vision lines, so we appreciate that.
That's true. Despite the intensity of the game, both teams being exemplary in their respecting of the player line and the no loitering cone zone in front of our booth. So, JetSet looking to punch in the hold here and really consolidate the advantage they've opened up in the first half. On stride into the front corner, and there is the snatch high in the air. Doesn't require too much of a jump, just the height mismatch exploited to perfection, and that is JetSet 9, Uprising 5. Well, it's less rising up, more seeing themselves fall down the standings here, possibly for the Poznan side. Of course, they did so well in their qualification series. Looking back at some of those previous results, my system will load. Because of course they were at the spring invite, had some solid work against Hard to Fish. Took some losses along the way too, but winning their way through against Forward 13-8. Not rising to the challenge. Qualifying through the Eastern Northern Division, or region we should say. They're getting a little bit shut out here against the JetSet side that were knowing that they were going to be coming here from the very beginning of the season, chatting to their players earlier on. Well, there seems to be a travel call on the assist. There we go. That's why we've had a bit of an elongated stoppage here. We didn't quite notice because we were busy talking about the game. What do you think of this one, Rachel? Well, under the new WFDF rule set, that looks legitimate to me.
A legitimate travel call, or a legitimate pass? I guess under the new rule, you're allowed 3 points of contact, and by which time you either have to release the disc or stopped. Is that right?
Right, let's pull up the letter of the law here.
And yeah, I think I can hear discussion now about whether you're also not supposed to change direction or sort of, either move around or change direction during those steps. But I think they've decided, having looked at the replay, that actually it's not as grievous a travel as they'd first thought it was, and then that one will be retracted and the point will stand.
Well, I was trying to pull up the letter of the law because that was the thing in my mind, is I knew there was also wording around the change of direction. Certainly no change of pace was there. Perhaps a tiny bit of a slowdown, but that's natural anyway because you are trying to slow down. But yeah, it looked good to me, and it was called good on the field, so that will punch in the hold for JetSet to open up the second half. They lead by 4 by virtue of their 3 breaks. But of course, Uprising will look to respond. There is plenty of time left to do it. These are 90-minute games. Now we're into knockout territory. So 47 minutes and change left for Uprising to try and change their fates. But of course, for JetSet, it's just punch in 6 more points.
Great pull, gets that right down into the end zone. Defense already there.
Yeah, Uprising really trying to ignite their set plays. You can see they have timing for who they want. Thinking about the big wind-up. So much double cutting underneath, but Bison coming under. Finding Murua. Now we get the big release into the deep space. There's plenty of separation there. Someone perhaps got caught napping a little bit, and that is a sensational grab, taking away the height mismatch, saying, I can jump higher than you can, and ripping it out the sky. Well, that is a solid response for the first hold of the second half for Uprising.
Yeah, I love that. There was definitely separation downfield. That throw went up. It seemed like a great option. I guess the challenge was it had so much shape on it. It just sat for that bit too long. It made it a very difficult reception, but very much up to the task. Attacking that high. We see that going up. We saw that wind up. We knew it was going to go. You can see there, he's got yards, he's got the separation, but has to slow right down, but manages to attack that, get position, hold position, and come down with it. Uprising score.
I think a key there as well is the fact that the player goes up early, knows that he has to, but finds the spot and jumps into the air cleanly, well ahead. So Kudlinski with the goal off that big old assist for Svej. But I have to say, it is a challenge for us trying to get the live action names with these Uprising kits, because not only is it a low color contrast, orange numbers on a white shirt, but also it's a beautiful decorative look up close, the stencil back numbers. But from this distance, for clarity, less so. The snazzy new JetSet kit, quite small numbers. Anyway, we'll stop whinging and get back to the play. Another brick pull. This time it's going to be JetSet to field, so we'll get a look at their A game.
Oh, it's not being bricked, it's being brought in where it went out, which I think was quite a while ago.
Absolutely. Well, that one, yeah, never come in bounds. So about 1/3 of the field to go, so reverse brick, if you like. Initiation to Heymans, and then swinging all the way across the board. Trying to attack those big fakes. Morrison, no connection initially. Oh, but that is a beautiful throw, just diagonally across, and that is made to look very easy, but it was a big old gift given to JetSet. They're in double-digit territory now and racing away with this game.
Yeah, we know the importance of a good pull. We know how a good pull that puts them right at the back of the end zone can be so damaging, but really got to balance that with a pull that goes out around about your own brick mark is just gifting them, you know, the majority of the field. You're giving it to them right in your own red zone, and you just need to tighten up and figure out what the cost-benefit analysis is.
Well, with the timeout being called on the pitch, we're going to get a brief break here as well. Don't go anywhere, though. JetSet could see themselves failing and the Polish rising up. We'll see. I'll find out after these messages.
Have you seen our VO streams? Do you know that VO cameras are built for more tactical team sport analysis? The inbuilt tracking technology allows you to see the game in finer detail. That's why teams are already using it, and ulti.TV and EUF are teaming up to help you join VO. Contact EUF administration to get more details.
Well, at the moment, JetSet have ignited both of the engines. They're running on fuel right now and running away, flying away with this game, but Uprising trying to climb the ladder and see themselves in the top 16 here at the European Ultimate Championship Finals. It's been a dream season for the lads of Leuven. Poznan have got to respond here and snag some breaks. Starts from that front comb. Nice smooth moving across. A little bit of double jogging in the back, the downfield space. Perhaps a little bit of energy now starting to seep out from some of the athletes on the field. That was a little bit of an ambitious play there. Sebastian Gassenmeier catching the edge of the hip unnecessarily.
A little unimpressed with the level of contact, I think, from the offensive side, just needing a moment to collect themselves. Sometimes it's easy to get a little bit riled up if you feel an undue level of contact. You could just make the call and resolve it.
Indeed. Well, Badura, who's been on solid form in this game, swinging it around. That's a nice release on the backhand. Swinging all the way around. Just moving it in the reset space very well, trying to be patient. Uprising, no, they need to just play for possession because they still have plenty of minutes left here. Scuba is going to be taken away though, going for a bit of creativity, and the arms go out. Wardfox saying, come on, mate. Someone pick up the frisbee. I'm ready to play. And fuck, if I remember correctly from Flemish, it means seal. But I could well be wrong. Big one around. Oh, that is an absolutely ruthless blade arcing across. Well, we are getting an absolute showcase, an aerial display from this JetSet team. Very appropriate for the outlines of the fighter pilot type affair going on these fresh new jerseys. And that is a very fresh and clean break. Only took the one turnover to do it. JetSet punishing Uprising. Well, we talked about them playing close against the other opponents in Pool B, but do you think that has taken a little bit too much out of them, Rachel?
Yeah, potentially. It does seem like they might be a little bit tired. That decision-making on that scuba just didn't really seem to be there. And I think the other challenge is it felt like there was a bit of a disconnect between the hammer space and the stack in that point for Uprising. We could see the cutters stacking quite deep, which left a lot of space to attack under, but then a number of cuts were sort of coming from the stack, coming under only a single two, and then trying to hit the deep space, which is just not a viable option. And it meant that only 2 or 3 people kind of cutting into that handler space were really able to get the disc and get it moving, and there was kind of just not really kind of the cohesion across the line that you want to see, which might be a symptom of you know, end of the day play, being tired, not being kind of as connected as they maybe have been, but it's definitely something they'll need to think about.
I think there may be a little bit of frustration coming in for Uprising. They are kind of not holding their structure. There's moments where they're double cutting, moments where no one's really cutting with too much effect into the deep space. That's not the case though for this particular instance, because that is a determined cut all the way around, but great play to knock it out of bounds. There's going to be a discussion, perhaps a little bit of too much touching, but Emile de Rijk just knocking that one away, and it is resolved with a retracted kill.
I think that's correct. I think that sometimes in those moments, if you feel a bit of contact, you might think that's disrupted you, but I don't think that was coming down in white hands.
Well, you've always got to make the plays and make the calls as you see them, because there's nothing worse than leaving the pitch and thinking, oh, if I'd only done it a little bit different and communicated. But Fock on the far sideline. Looking for that inside to Dijk. All alone, no stall, can do whatever you want, son. And it's the hammer is the choice. Looks pops back. Leuven happy to sit for a while, wait for the reset. Oh, nearly a bit of double cutting. Offhand, backhand, surely not. Oh, this is lovely flow out from JetSet. Racing their way downfield. You can see the confidence with which they're playing. Oh, that's going to escape the grasp of Fock, but a little bit too much haste to try and put that 12th point on the board. They are 4 away from seeing themselves into the top 16 bracket, our JetSet, but not with plays like that. So an opportunity there, but taken away. Flipped right back, almost on the goal line. Goes for the lefty release. Oh, well, maybe that wasn't an offhand before. Arne Granat pops that in, and that will indeed be 12 to JetSet, doubling up the scoreline of their opponents.
We mentioned the roster size earlier in the game, Uprising having 5 or 6 players. I think 5. I think one of their roster isn't actually taking the field this game, but having 5 players or so more than JetSet, and we thought about how that might be an advantage in terms of legs and the kind of energy, particularly this late in the day. But there also we kind of maybe didn't consider enough is the cohesion. And a team like JetSet, who've maybe, you know, they haven't got a short roster, but they've just got a slightly smaller one, have played more points together today. They've kind of built those connections a little bit more. They might just have worked through their sort of all of their players and their lines well enough. Dog cam in full force here at the fields.
Oh my gosh, from multiple angles,
yeah.
Doggo cam. Well, to be fair, that particular Doggo has been enjoying this ultimate. It's been popping up and down our sideline behind our booth, and I tried to sneak a photo, so I'm really fantastically pleased that Doggo cam lives on and strong. That's one for the tally that we literally have on the mothership. So, Uprising trying to answer the call here. Nice movement underneath. This is just, again, being holstered. I think Uprising currently are having success in 2 parts of the field, around the handlers and far, far away from the handlers, more or less. They're notching up little bits of yards, but that's a good gain now on the far sideline. Laser flick to the end zone. Seeing the soft matchup and exploiting it. That looks to be Romanewski with the goal. But powering through from the back set, that is more like it for Uprising. They chuck one on the tally. 12-7 though, a 5-point lead for JetSet.
It does seem like when Uprising has come out and they've managed to get in their flow sort of quickly, they really have put some very nice points together and had that flowing offense. They've thrown those really perfectly executed throws into space. We see here that just being really well weighted to go around any of the defensive players and right into the stride of the receiver. But we just haven't seen that consistently across the game. We've seen some frustrations and some poor decision making and kind of some easy turns just gifted over to JetSet. So I think there will likely be a fair level of frustration from the Uprising players because they know that they can do it. They know they can play like that. They know that they're able to put those very clean and tidy holds in. And we've seen them get turns on JetSet, but just haven't been able to convert with the same level of intensity and accuracy that we've seen from JetSet, who've sort of really had to grind some of those points out, but have worked hard to get those breaks.
Well, it has really been a full stretch affair for JetSet. We talked about their sort of coming together. Some of the athletes playing for this Leuven side actually only met each other this morning in a difficult game against Costa Rica Grandes, but it has been a bit more of a distributed affair in terms of their stats line, where there are some players that could easily be picked out for Uprising. Yannick pops one into real acres of room on the underneath. But that's hot contest there. The flying form of the defender. It looks to be Simura, who has indeed been leading the stats charge for this Uprising side. Smells up now to Viene. Oh, that's a lovely lead throw, and JetSet are 2 points away from advancing into the top 16. This is a bit of a nightmare for Uprising. They had such a challenge thrown down with their seeding in the initial stages, and it seems like someone's taken the wick and snuffed out their candle.
JetSet answering with a nice expansive offense of their own. Again, just working it through, finding the right options. We see some really sort of smart movements from the throwers, making sure they're really being very strategic in how they're putting their fakes in, making sure that they're kind of moving the mark around and creating the options. And the cutters, as we see in that one, just timed to perfection and well spaced. Already got a little bit of deep separation, doesn't necessarily have as much lateral separation, but when you have that depth and when you have throwers that can put that nice sweeping arc on it, just make sure it curves around any defensive player and sits right into your lap. That's how you play at this stage. You know, we don't want to keep talking about how tired they all are. Obviously, everyone here will have had a busy day putting it all on the field, but you know, you've got to then play smarter. You can't just keep trying to put the hammer to the metal. You've got to make sure that you're executing well, because otherwise that's what will kill you. And yeah, just definitely seeing that's maybe slightly more from JetSet in this game than we have from Uprising.
Well, a decent amount of loft underneath that one, but making it all the way through very nicely. Not quite the moment for the wind-up of Badura, and instead it goes over the top. Hot coverage. Again, so much match defense being played in this game. Both sides really going toe-to-toe and tussling now. This is good gaining, though. A little bit of a spin move required. That's got to be Kudnicki on the far sideline. That number 40-something shirt. Oh, nearly a spoil there on the execution, but great recovery and straight into the end zone. That's another on the board for Bison. And another on the points tally for Uprising, trailing by 5, but trying to stay alive here. They've got time left on the clock, half an hour left to go, but the way JetSet are flying at the moment, not sure they're going to hold them for that long.
Yeah, we did see a few breaks from JetSet just after half, which is sort of at the beginning of the second half of the game. But we've just seen sort of 3 holds in a row now. And if we continue just to kind of trade holds, then of course it's, you know, JetSet have made the advantage. Uprising are going to really need to bring something on defense here if they want to get a break, even just one break, to get their heads right, get their momentum back on their side, and get their heads into this game, and make sure they convince themselves they're still competitive, that they're playing like they are, but you really need the scoreboard to kind of give you some more reassurance.
Well, talking about scoreboards, we can give you a couple of score updates, of course, all live on eucs-schedule.ultimate.federation.eu. Select the Wrocław tournament from that, or just go to the EUF website, follow the links. It's all online for you folks. But yeah, we have Bristol Open currently losing 14-11 against Chuck. Otso 13-11 up against Outsitters. This game, of course, a mirror of the result currently standing on the other live stream field. We won't spoil that one. Go get yourself some double stream coverage and Panthers, the home team, fighting up 1 point shy of their opponents, KFK. I'll give you more updates after this point as JetSet look to try and bring themselves within one here. An easy one, plenty of players being given lots of space under. Smesso into Heymans. Just eating away slowly but surely. Chang now. Don't have to do anything too funky or creative. Was that good enough? No, not quite. Heymans. Almost looked like he was about to throw a push pass, but that one is pushed into the dust by the defense. Perhaps a little bit too much haste. Not fantastic separation there on the field for JetSet. Left themselves with a bit too much of a squeak.
They try to get that turn and quickly get the disc moving, and we see here definitely the sort of the desperation twirl of someone who doesn't have a reset, does a full 360 on the disc, tosses that one in, gets DD'd, but then immediately Uprising try and get it moving, and that's been blocked. And I guess now there's a discussion if there's been some contact.
Well, of course, every single pool in this tournament for the Open Division, the bottom spot has an opportunity to get themselves back in. It's a difficult schedule to write with 24 teams turning up, but a long discussion here as things start to get a little bit testy, but looks like Uprising will retain possession with a couple of negative yards. So a contested foul. Back in play. Still count rising, but shooting back into Callahan County. Under the bright floodlights all the way back. Still playing with good confidence are Uprising. It's always a nice sign of your offense that will happily do that. There's going to be a foul called again. Retracted. And a quick pickup from Vianney. Oh, to the front cone. There is the layout attempt, but no block is gained. You've got to throw it all out there, though, to try and keep yourselves in contention for a top 16 space. But JetSet 1 point away from the dream of going into the top 16.
Yeah, things just getting a little bit messy, a little bit gritty there. Some quick turns, trying to get the disc moving again quickly. If half the field haven't realised the disc has come in, it can be quite hard, you know, if there's a contact call and you're not really sure what's gone on. I think, yeah, we see there that final turnover, just looking a bit surprised by it, but there's no call to be made. And then it's quickly brought in again, but, you know, just struggling to find the gaps, and thankfully just had a cut to that front corner. And despite a sort of a noble bid, I think that was far enough away that it was quite a safe option.
You see the extension of the discussion there. Maximilian Vianney. Big shout out to Mo and Olivier watching at home. He's actually a coach of the under-17s division and a sporting hero, of course, being from Leuven. Silke de la Fortrie, who's playing elsewhere on the pitches here. And looks to be an out-of-bounds. Paul will bring it in. So 2 deep and an opportunity for a set play. But this time a true centralised vertical stack coming out for Uprising. Much unlike the side stack we saw before, but good surrounding initially from JetSet. All of the Hive Ultimate fans will be unsurprised to see that. Badura popping through to Bison. He thinks about uncorking it. Choosing the hammer. That creativity works off this time. Excuse me. Easy pop through. Oh, that's beautiful turning on a dime in the hand, a reset space. Really impressive. Agility on that number 3, Michal Badura. Now the backhand break, just about squeezes it through. There's going to be a foul called. Looks like it's an immediate accept from Lux. Lux. And lurking there, not able to stop it. The defender and that front cone again, the action spot. There's been a lot of play in that particular part of the field recently.
Yeah, that was a nice shot in, that kind of high release IO flick. A tighter throw than it would have been to sort of take on the backhand around, which would really sit the disc out in front of the player. But if you're going to be able to execute with that sort of precision, then absolutely have at it. That's a really nice throw, and we've seen it a number of times throughout this game. And that was, again, just put out into that space. We know that people want to hit that front cone. Uprising keeping their head just about above water. It is 14-9. They stay in the game, but you know the margin now is very, very slim. They cannot give a single other point up, or that's it, they're out.
I'm going to make a bold call here, Rachel.
Go on, Hanny, let's hear it.
I don't see it. I don't see Uprising coming through here. Of course, their Masters outfit last season on these very pitches had a whale of a time. Of course, at the European Masters Ultimate Club Championships 2022, Uprising got their spirit of the game winning. Had some pretty good games here as well. But this isn't their first time for the Polish champions at the EUCF level. That's a beautiful shot though, into the hand, reaching grab. Havens puts one up, floats it through, and that will be game for JetSet. Artur Moyerson adds another to the tally. That's 2 goals and 1 assist for the number 21 from Leuven. And what a handy performance that was for JetSet. They talked about not being enmeshed with each other in the early stages, but that was a full stretch performance. Almost every single player with a stat contributing across the pitch. And hats off to Uprising. They played hard, they played gritty, but it just wasn't enough.
Yeah, absolutely. It felt like such a tight game at different times, but JetSet really just kind of having that smidgen more consistency, which gave them the edge and managed to let them close out and get some of those breaks that Uprising just really failed to convert in comparison. So such a tight game. I think that both teams should be incredibly proud of how they've played. I think they'll probably both have learning points to take away, rewatch and consider as they move through the tournament.
Well, that's the real pain there. You can see the number of turnovers for Uprising, 5 extra, and the break chances, of course, for JetSet. I mean, it's not an amazing conversion rate, 5 for 10. So they have some things to work on. Certainly, it will be an interesting thing to see who they will face in that top 16 tomorrow. Of course, the winner of this game advances to, if I can find the correct section on my tabs, into the 1 to 16 bracket. So this is game 2 of 8 in our crossovers. We'll give you some score updates in a little while. So JetSet will be facing up against Ranelagh, the defending champions from last season, who of course have had a very, very interesting change of personnel. Still some of the names you recognize. So JetSet from Leuven, perhaps with, can we say, one of the softer matchups in the 1/16 bracket, because there's some big old names in that pack.
Yeah, we're really getting to, I mean, it's only day 1 and it already feels like we're getting into the business end of things. Quickly moving through the pool games the pool games, everyone wants, there's still everything to play for, and that will define your route if you still want to have a chance of making it into that final. But now we're really talking about matching up against the teams who've demonstrated their prowess so far already today, come away with some wins, and so it's going to be a tricky one for all these teams moving forward.
And it really is staggering to watch the replays, the highlights from the very early stages of this game. We had daylight to start us off here, a 90-minute time slot, because we're getting into that indeed business end of the tournament. This is what you get though when you come to European Championship Finals event. You get wall-to-wall fantastic plays. Look at that re-catch from Uprising, those early stages of the game where it really felt like it could be anyone's, Rachel.
Yeah, and it could have been. You know, there was I felt like a game of small margins. defense, but it felt like sometimes it was sort of Uprising maybe just not tightening up in the moments they really needed to tighten up, and perhaps just giving a little bit too much. JetSet doing a great job of taking advantage of that, but phenomenal game. We saw such stifling defense, and we saw pressure right up until the last. Both teams leaving it on the field and really taking us to the end of day one with a bang.
Yeah, well, I think probably we had to inch it out by the biggest advantage. It's the aerial performance for JetSet, matching their nice new slick jerseys, these white sort of Spitfire-esque silhouettes on the new black shirt. So they will face up against Ranelagh. We won't talk results yet, we'll just talk some of the cemented into the bracket. So Mooncatchers will face the winner of game crossover number 5, but Costa Rica Grandes against Action Flash on the other side of the bracket to this matchup against Ranelagh for tomorrow, with JetSet, Fiafilafota yet to find an opponent, but Bad Skid, of course, advancing over MUC, Muck of Munich, the all-German derby to get into the top 16. Clapham ultimate against Jack, Wall City against 3SB, and Gentle, the other opponent, yet to find their matchup for tomorrow. But thank you so much for joining us here for all the action here at the European Ultimate Championship Finals. It has been a day, folks, but it's the weekend tomorrow, unless of course you work on Saturday and Sunday, so you will have wall-to-wall action coming at you live all day from 8:30 local time all the way to that 5:15 time slot. Myself, Hannah Pendlebury, for Rachel Douglas and all of our tireless ulti.TV crew. Like, subscribe, become a patron, throw money as we see the last couple of banging throws from this crossover match.
Met the other night, but I can't get you off my mind. Not a smooth talker under pressure, sweaty palms ain't making it much better. Something about you feels so special, pretty ugly from the minute that I met you.
Thanks.
Merci beaucoup.
Yeah, ultimate.
ulti.TV.